You don't so much step out of this van as leap out. But then this is no ordinary camper van. Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan, and today I'm at Horton Water's little farm CL campsite near Newark with this, the very new K-Peak from Yucon. Don't know the name Yucon? Well, it's Frankia's campervan brand, new in the UK, and these K-Peaks all come on four-wheel drive Mercedes Sprinters. As you can see, we've been having a bit of fun playing on the tracks around the farm and getting it a bit muddy. Normally, I like to give you a lovely, clean, shiny van to look at, but today, no, we've gone for the off-road look. Now, there are three models in this new K-Peak range, all of them on four-wheel drive Mercedes Sprinter with the automatic gearbox and four-wheel drive. There's the 6.0 BD with a double bed at the back, the 6.0 GD with single beds at the back, those are both the 6-metre vans, and then this 7.0 GD, single beds at the back, 6.97 metres long, so the bigger van, and because of that it comes on the 4,100 kilo chassis, 4.1 tonne chassis as standard, so you will need a C1 licence for this van. Now, the other thing about these K-Peaks is not only do they come four-wheel drive, but there are very few options at all to consider because these vehicles are very, very highly spec'd direct from the factory. In fact, the only options on this particular vehicle are the pop-top roof. That's £9,373 if you need the extra birds, but it does bring with it an extra 90-watt solar panel. Then there's a inverter, 2 kilowatt inverter in the garage area. That's £1,245. A 4-metre awning over the sliding door on the other side. That's £1,395. And then a Wi-Fi router for £695. No other options, no packs, and the total for this vehicle, all the extras that you see on this vehicle, £131,352. Now that might sound a lot, but this is the top spec engine, four-wheel drive, automatic, Mercedes-Benz, metallic paint, the off-road tyres, as you see it here. Now I think that seems remarkably good value for money. Now, if we take a look down the left-hand side of the van, well, apart from the mud, what can you see? Well, first of all, you'll spot these nice flush fit windows. I do like those. And this rather unusual branding, the Yucon graphics down the side. Usual cassette toilet servicing hatch. Your fresh water filler, now that is inboard, the fresh water tank, and it's 100 litres. Wastewater tank is underneath but insulated, and that is 70 litres. And then down at the back, of course, your mains hookup point. When you come around the back of the van, well, you've got your reversing camera up top and your parking sensors in the rear bumper. 4x4, of course, and because it's the 419 CDI, well, that means it's got that 190 horsepower engine as standard. Open the back doors round and you have got a really, really generous garage area. 1.44 metres deep into the van, 1.18 metres across, and up to 91 centimetres tall. Over in the corner here, you've got your gas locker. That takes one 6-kilo cylinder. Only one cylinder because the heating is diesel. Truma Combi 6D, so 6 kilowatt diesel heating. And the only reason you've got gas at all is for your cooker, for your hob. And then over here, behind this panel, you've got a 300 amp hour lithium battery, and of course that 2 kilowatt inverter, so you've got mains electrics at your sockets even when you're not hooked up. If you want even more space in the back, well, tipping this bed up really doesn't give you a great deal of advantage, just gives you access into a bit more storage from the top, from inside the van. But lifting this one, okay, the gas strut isn't strong enough, it needs either a second or a more powerful gas strut to hold it. But with that bed up, you have then got full height storage, or virtually full height storage, into that section of the garage. Of course, the gas strut is strong enough once you've removed the mattress, but it'd be more convenient if you didn't have to. And then if we look down the right hand side of the van, well, what do we see? More mud, more graphics, that Dometic rollout awning and the sliding door. Now, this particular test vehicle is left-hand drive. It's only left-hand drive because SMC, the sole dealer for Yucon, was so successful with this model at the NEC show that they demanded this left-hand drive demonstrator to keep to show customers, because they'd temporarily sold out of right-hand drive ones. All the UK spec vehicles will, of course, be right-hand drive, and that's what you'll get if you order one at the price I quoted earlier. The big sliding door comes with soft close. It also has a fly screen, and there's an electric step, but I shan't be getting my nice new Palladium boots, which I highly recommend for muddy campsites, by the way. I shan't be getting in until I've wiped that. I think they need some sort of deflector here to stop your step. Looking quite like that. K-Peaks all come with the LED headlights and those light bars above the windscreen. Now let's go and have some fun before I show you what it's like inside this new Yucon. Now, this may be a rather special Sprinter, but it's still a Sprinter. So, foot on the brake, press the button to start, flick the little lever to release the parking brake, and engage drive on this column stalk. And that's it, because the four-wheel drive system is fully automatic. You don't have to engage it or press any buttons for diff locks or anything. It just engages four-wheel drive. And, well, this might not be the most extreme off-roading, but in respect to the fact that somebody is going to pay 130 grand or so for this vehicle, we've got to be a little bit careful. And I don't think you'd bring your average motorhome down here. While I'm negotiating this extremely sodden track, what else can I tell you? Well, with the K-Peak, as I say, you get all the toys. So you get this big, the larger MBUX display, 10.25 inch display there. That does your reversing camera as well as your sat nav. Even your reversing camera display isn't the average, because it gives you twin views, like an overhead view as well as your normal reversing view. And that is super helpful, because this isn't a small van. I mean, it's only a camper van, but it is still almost 7 meters long. And that probably ultimately is going to be your most restricting factor when you're going off-road. And then you get these Mercedes-Benz comfort seats, which really do live up to the name. They're almost like sports car seats, the way they grip you in place. It's quite an enveloping backrest between armrests, of course, and you've got this extension piece under your knees, which gives you more support if you've got longer legs. Now, as you can see, the Merc is coping absolutely no issues at all. and we wouldn't have got very far in your typical front-wheel drive motorhome. You've also got all the sort of electronics of today in this van. You've got automatic lights and wipers, you've got folding mirrors, heated electric mirrors of course, and you've got the twin lenses. So what else can I tell you? Well, these K-Peaks all come in Tenorite grey metallic, and on the 4.1 tonne chassis, this vehicle has a standard payload of 600 kilos. Now if you go for the pop top option and the awning there, the pop top in particular is a hefty option in terms of weight as well as price. So if you go for those two, then your payload goes down to 415 kilos. So still a reasonable payload for what is obviously quite a hefty vehicle. And then perhaps I should mention the origins of the K-Peak name. Well, it's named after Keel Peak, which is the highest peak in the Mackenzie Mountains in the Yukon, at 2,972 metres. So that's what it's like off-road. Pretty impressive, I reckon. Let's see what it's like on the road. Now, just as this is not your average motorhome off-road, it's not your average motorhome on-road either. That 190 horsepower engine really does feel quite potent. It gets up and goes in a way that a 4-tonne vehicle really has no right to. And it's just so effortless. The automatic gearbox is super smooth. Even the fact this is left-hand drive doesn't really matter because you're sitting so high. If you think you sit high in a normal motorhome, you want to sit in one of these. It's like being an HGV driver. Although it's left-hand drive, because you've got the blind spot warning, which is a little red triangle that lights up in your door mirrors, that takes away all the worry that, you know, there might be something in your blind spot. And of course, when you have a right-hand drive vehicle and you're driving it abroad, that is going to be a boon in just the same way. So you've got your blind spot assistance, you've also got alertness assistance, you've got your active distronic cruise control, which is one of those that senses the vehicle in front and slows down, so a fully automatic cruise control. And it's just so stable on the road. So we'll head back to the campsite, pop the roof up, and maybe get the kettle on. So back on site, the first thing to do is to put up the roof, and it's very simple. 2 catches on each side, real belt and braces job. The main catch folds up and then magnetically attaches to the top, so that's good too. It's an SCA roof, German top quality pop top, as you see on lots of VWs or good quality VW campers anyway. And then it's just a good old push and up she goes. You probably will need to stand on the seats, which I'm not going to do until I've taken my boots off. And then with the roof up, well, you can see the 2 90-watt solar panels on the roof, but to take advantage of the bed, you'll need to retrieve the ladder, which I'm guessing you're going to have to store in the garage. And I would like to see some proper storage for it, even if it was just clipped against the side of the garage wall rather than it just rattling around loose. But 2 pieces of the ladder simply slide together, and then will take you up into the pop top bed. Now up here you have a really good size double bed. It's 1.96 metres by 1.1 metres, or 6'5". by 3'7". It's on plastic Froley springs for super comfort. You've got reading lights, a pair of them, one each side, with built-in USBs. You've got the usual fly screens with covers. Well, fly screens on the left-hand side and in the front of the roof, and then a plastic window on the right-hand side. You've got a net, of course, if you've got children sleeping up here to stop them rolling out, and really quite a decent amount of headroom as well. And I'm told that on production vehicles, you'll even have ducting from the blown air heating up here. Time to take off my boots, which are no longer looking quite as new, but never mind, that's what they're for, and they have stopped me slipping and sliding in all this mud, like the four-wheel drive on the Sprinter, I suppose. And it's nice and cosy in here because not only have you got diesel heating, but it's electric as well, and there's 20 millimeters of cellar foam, which is polyester and aluminium insulation throughout the vehicle in all the panels. I should also have pointed out that the waste tank is not just insulated, but it's heated as well, and it has an electric emptying valve. So inside, it's no surprise in a German van, or in fact any imported camper van, to find the sliding door on the offside, even when we get the right-hand drive versions, and also no surprise to find a half dinette lounge. Those cab seats, of course, swivel and become part of the lounge area, and they are just as comfortable on site as they are on the road. All the upholstery, as standard, is in this grey finish with real leather and then this sort of microfiber, like a suede finish in the centres. Does look very smart, and there's no, again, with K-Peak there are no options. This is the fabric that you get. You get this nice soft touch fabric on the walls too, contrasting, and the same material on the headlining. All does feel quite a premium van. Got the concertina blinds too, with fly screens of course, and then this table is already a good size, a very good size in fact for a half dinette, but the extension leaf is also a very good size. So if you want to get 4 people dining around this table, and it's nice and sturdy as well, it doesn't wobble, then that should be quite practical. You've got a reading light behind me here, swivelling reading light, mood lighting here and here, but unfortunately no reading lights in the cab, and with that dark ceiling in the cab, that's something I really would like to add. Sitting here, it's also quite nice to have an armrest against the wall, but that does narrow the seat. But don't worry, you can take this out and it has an extra purpose. Just put your hand under the side of the seat here, and there's a lever that extends the seat outwards, and then those 2 sections of the armrest slot in and make for a wider travel seat. And now, for once, you could comfortably sit 2 of me in this seat rather than 2 little children. Okay, it does narrow the aisle next to the kitchen, but you can still open the drawers, you can still cook, you can still use everything. I might even be tempted to leave the seat like this most of the time. When the seat is extended, it's also more comfortable to put your feet up and put your back against the wall here. But for travel, of course, you've got 3-point belts and you've got Isofix for child seats. So it's a really good rear travel seat. And then another good point up above is that you've got a mini Hecky roof light. So you've got more daylight coming into this area, despite the fact you've got the pop top. Because often with these pop top models, there's no roof light, so they're much darker inside, and you haven't got that problem here. But while we're here, I should just remind you, or if you're new to the channel, point out that all these reviews are brought to you by MMM magazine, Britain's longest established and best motorhome magazine, available in digital or print form from outandaboutlive.co.uk. And finally, before we move on to the kitchen, just to show you there is quite a decent amount of storage under the half-dinette seat, but it just could be more easily accessible. With a drop front or a panel in the side here, it would just be a lot easier to get to that space. And then one final thing before I show you the kitchen. Well, up here you have got a USB socket, your light switches, a mains point, your trimmer, diesel and electric heating control, and your main control panel. But in the middle here, this is the interesting one, because it shows you your battery condition, how much power you're actually using, and how much you've got left from that 300 amp hour lithium battery, and how long you've got on current usage before you run out of power. And so to the kitchen, and in many ways it's typical of this sort of fixed bed camper van, because it's a long unit alongside the sliding door and partly across that entrance area. But you can immediately see that this is a longer van. It's not your usual 6 metre or 6.4 metre Fiat. This is a 7 metre van, and the kitchen really gains from that extra space. Yes, you've got your usual combined combination Dometic 2-burner hob and sink unit with this neat folding tap. But you've also got a decent area of worktop here, and that's before you deploy this very Germanically sturdy worktop at the end. I think I could jump up and down on that and it probably wouldn't break, but maybe best not try. You've got lots of drawer space too. All nice quality soft closed drawers. You've got 3 there and another 4 here. And there's a cupboard in the middle. Cupboard space is also useful here, and I really like this area because, well, you can just so easily see what you've got in there. It's tall, you've got room for maybe cereal packets in the top or bottles, and, well, my coffee machine fits in the bottom there, and that's always a good sign. Underneath, you've got your 84 litre compressor fridge, so that's just switch on and forget. So, really good kitchen, as long as you don't need an oven, because that's not offered as an option. But hang on, I should just add main socket there, main socket up here. Now, obviously in this left-hand drive one, they're Continental spec sockets. In the UK, that will be changed. But this is your worktop. This is where I want my coffee machine, and no main socket. So, as usual, opposite the kitchen is your washroom. And unlike a lot of camper vans, it's a really good size. Doesn't feel like you're ramming yourself into a little wardrobe. This is a proper washroom. So, you've got your bench cassette toilet. You've got a window because, of course, with the pot top, you can't have a roof vent. Now, you might be wondering where the wash basin is, but that simply pops out above the loo, and again, it's a good size. There's plenty of room to get your face over it for a good splash. And then behind the loo there's a really tall mirror, and behind that really good storage with upstands to keep things in place. And the good design carries on. You've got this extending hanging rail to put wet clothes and towels on. You've got a little hook at the side here for your towel as well. Twin drains in the shower, little corner shelf. We're really racking up the good points, but there is one thing I'm not quite so keen on. This little bag holds the secret, and it's a shower curtain. No, not one of those horrible shower curtains that goes all the way around, but you do need to attach it nonetheless. First of all, with this rail, and that goes up here over the loo, and then you've got a series of studs to attach to cover the loo and the window, so you won't get stuck to it, but it's just a bit fiddly. And note too that your shower head isn't on a riser bar, it's on a fixed position, but nothing to stop you hand holding it, of course. And finally, of course, at the back is the bedroom. Now I can just about sit on the beds, my hair just on the ceiling, so if that matters to you when you're sitting on the bed, maybe to take your socks off, then just check it out for yourself. The beds are a good length. They're both 1.96 metres long, that's 6'5", and they're 64 centimetres wide if you just measure the mattress to here. That's 2'1", but of course for where you need it at shoulder length, you've got the full width of the van right the way across the vehicle. Beds are on Foley springs again too, like the bed in the pop top, and well, you can even just about sit up, although it would be easier without this silly plinth here. Reading lights on both sides, and because the beds are the same size, you won't need to trade your partner in for a shorter one. You can keep a tall partner. Wow, who would have thought? And then you've got opening windows with the pleated blinds on either side. You've got a roof vent above. You've even got opening windows in the back doors. Although I suggest that a lot of the time those will be hidden by your pillows. If you really wanted to, you could take out that centre panel there, just have this shorter section between the beds, but there really doesn't seem a lot of point because you've still got access to the step even when that cushion is in place. There's more storage to show you too. First of all, under this bottom step, although that's pretty limited, it's more access to water pipes. And then this door gives you limited access into the garage. More useful is the wardrobe space. Not the biggest, but useful for some shirts, trousers and so on. And you can also lift the whole bed for access into the garage, but that's easier with the mattress removed. So if we take that off, you can see there is now really generous access into the storage, although you would have to have long arms to reach most of it. And then on the other side again, you have to really remove the mattress, but you have got access into a shallow area of storage. But really what this is all about, it's where your combi boiler is. So anything you put in here is going to be kept nice and warm. So, time for a final verdict on this Yucon K-Peak 7.0 GD. Wow, what a van. I know 130-odd thousand pounds is a lot of money, but this is a lot of campervan, and you could easily spend a lot more on a big four-wheel drive van like this. The fact that it comes from Frankia gives you peace of mind too that it's from a big German manufacturer. The quality in this van is pretty much self-evident. Yeah, the kitchen's big for a campervan. The lounge works quite well for this type of layout, especially because you can widen that rear seat. The washroom Well, my only criticism of that is that shower curtain, and that doesn't wrap all the way around you, so you won't get stuck to it. It's just a bit fiddly putting it up. The rear single beds, not the widest, but they are a really good length, and of course you've got that centre cushion as well, so the width actually down most of the bed length is good too. So not a lot to really criticise on this van. What would I like? I would like I would like a lighter headlining in this area. If only they'd carried on their own trim a bit into the cabs, it wasn't so dark here. And fitted some reading lights up front and get rid of that silly plinth over the back doors that you're only going to bang your head on when you sit up in bed. Well, other than that, a lovely van. If you don't want to be stuck in the mud, how about this for your next camper van? Thanks ever so much for watching. Don't forget to like and to subscribe to our channel.